All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. How are we doing? Who do we have here? Hi, Deep. Welcome in. Thank you for the bundle. Hi, Venator. Hello, hello. Hi, Google. Hi, Fabled. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in. Hi, Bo. Hi, Nordic. Hi, Devoct. Welcome in. Thank you for the lurk, Googler. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Rixie. Thank you so much for the follow. And Daisy as well. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Thanks for the lurk, Fabled. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Travis. Hello. Thank you for the level up. Gabes. Hello. Thanks for the maxi level. 11. Nice. Hi, Hester. Welcome in. Maxi level for you too. Nice. Hi, Willa. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Hi, Nordic. Am I control? I'm getting ready to join the server. Yo, let's go. Yeah, we are about to join in 10 minutes. We'll begin with this. But I'm starting first here on Twitch. And we'll talk about it. Hello, Rixie. Hello. Hi, Vine. Welcome in. Hi, Shaya. Hello. What are my random scary sounds? Yeah. So, yeah. Hi, Anna. Welcome in. We will talk about it. Bitin. Hello. Welcome in. Thank you for the level up. I don't have a headset, but I have an earbud, so I can hear at least. Do I join the voice chat? No, I'm not still on the voice chat. I'm actually going to join the one that we're gonna use, but I'm gonna mute over there. Give me a second. Why do we have music? Okay. The stage is on the Discord. I'm still muted there, but that's what we're gonna be using. For those who don't know, today I won't be paying too much attention to the Twitch chat or to the YouTube chat. I'm streaming it in case anybody wants to follow along without participating. And also so that I can have the VOD staying there. But we are going to be using the stage chat from the Builders Refuge server. In case anybody wants to join, let me put the link to that. That's the link to the Builders Refuge Discord server. Oh, I'm gonna turn on the captions, by the way. I'm gonna put that here, and I'm gonna put this there as well. Why don't you use your own? Because I don't have a stage function, I don't think, and also we are gonna be using their Minecraft server, so I feel like the least that I can do is also do it there. Hi, Rensingtor, hello, and Theo, welcome in. Sorry, I didn't see you there on the YouTube chat. That's the Discord we're gonna be using today. Let me open this. So many things to set up for this to work. But yeah, there's no way for me to actually read 3 chats. And I also kept all the sounds distractions off from the Twitch. So it's, you still can gamble and do the basic ones, but raids are disabled. Why this is not working? I don't know why this is not working. Okay. Oh, they changed it. It is. I think it's working. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Hi Synth, hello. Also, stage chat in the Builder's Refuge Discord for a voice chat, correct? Yes. Hello Anna, hope you're doing well. So once we start, I will be ignoring everything. I mean, I won't be reading it. I will be reading it every once in a while. But yeah. Let me actually pin a message about it. I don't know how to say this. But those who want to follow along the class and participate, we're going to be doing a couple exercises. I'm going to explain it better once we begin with it. But and the idea is that I will be explaining something, doing something, and if you want to follow along, you can build. And after we are done with each of the exercises, I can like go. I can visit your plots and give you feedback if you want. If you don't want, that's fine. But if you want to join the Minecraft, the Builder's Refuge Minecraft server and build over there, that'll be neat. Can you turn off level up sounds for the timer? Yeah, we can do that. I can bring it down. I'm gonna bring it down. Because it's also kinda loud for me. Level systems. I thought that's something that I was gonna do and I forgot. Where is the sound? Here. That should be the level pretty low. And the maxi level is this one, I think. No, that's not the maxi level. Oh, that's so much better. What is this one? Consume level. Okay, we got a mark. That's nice. Okay, this is the one. I'm gonna reduce that one as well. Nice. Who got the mark? Fishy? Fishy? Yeah, nice. Your second one. Okay. Hi, Fishy, by the way. Hope you're doing well. I missed. Hello. How are you doing? The Oshi Mystic, welcome in. Hi, Mossy. Hello. Hi, Efe. Hello, hello. Okay, what was I gonna write here? Today we are going to be... Also, there was a confusion with the time zone. It's not the first time that I mix up EST. But in my defense, it was a Google issue. Because I double checked with Google and Google said there was a 2-hour time difference. Page over on the VR Discord. Join here. I'm gonna send that message and I'm gonna pin this. So yeah, there was a 1-hour difference. What mixes my brain is the daylight savings. I think at some point the time changed for 1 hour and it's always the same issue where I think it's a 2-hour difference and it's a 1-hour difference now until it changes again. To daddy? To daddy what? To daddy. Did I say to daddy? Going back to the hub because I have zero idea where to go in this place. Yes. That's the first thing that we're gonna do. I'm gonna help you guys set up to have your own plots so that you can build on the server. So we can be look at the fixed message to daddy. Oh no, can I change that? Thank you. Hi Gunsali, welcome in. Today, there we go. I'll leave that to daddy, to be honest. No, let's fix that. Let's fix that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Can I put the same message here? I don't know if I can pin a message on YouTube chat. Well, I'm just gonna put it there. Ah, yeah, I can. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the stage then. Can you put it back to today? That was fun. No, it's fine like this. Okay. We put that. I need to have this here as well. Amazing. Okay, now people should be able to hear me on the stage. Hello everybody over there. You should be able to answer on the chat, right? Yes, Willa is already writing there. Amazing. Yes, nice. Hello. How are we doing? I'm not gonna assume that all of you know how to have your own plot on the server, because I know some of you may be new to that or to this server. So let me open this. There we go. Let me go to here. Do we have? Yes, we have this. Okay. So I'm using the 251 plots. But if you join in, you should start here or at spawn. Hang on. Spawn. I assume we are here. Okay. So what we need to do to join the server that we are going to be using is use this following command, which is /251. That should send you to the 251 plot. I'm going to be typing the commands here. 251. I see you guys here. Nice, amazing. And then if you do plot auto, I'm not gonna do it because already I have one. That should automatically claim a plot for you guys if you don't have one already. Everyone's gonna have their own plot, and there you should have access to everything to build. And there you can set a home and all that, so you can easily come back to there. And I have the villagerings here. Can you? Oh yeah, I forgot. I should screen share this. There's so many things to do. Share screen. Thank you for letting me know. I completely forgot about that part. There we go. So now you should all have a plot like this one. Is everyone okay? Did anyone manage to get their own plots? Or is anybody having issues with that? I would assume that is all fine. I'm reading the Minecraft chat. It's making me laugh. Okay. I will assume we are fine then. I have my list here of things to do. So, well, the first thing first is thank you to the people from the Builders Refuge for letting me use their Discord and their server for this. I think this class is gonna be more fun than the previous one, where we didn't do any type of interaction like this. The idea, well, this is as the title says, it's a terraforming class. I'm not in yet. How do I join? Are you on the server? Yes. Okay, so you need to use these two commands that you see up there, /251 and /plot auto, to claim your own plot if you don't have one. Your mic is kinda broken in the... Oh, hang on, maybe it's using the other microphone. No, it's not. It's using the right one. It's not sounding right. Can you guys hear me all right here or not? I can... It's picking this other one. Okay. No issues? Okay. Okay. So, it's a terraforming class. As we said... Sorry, I still have an awful cough, which is why I had to postpone this class for like a week. We're gonna do 3 different types of exercises. We're not gonna make an island, but it could be an island. Thank you. Yes, those are the commands. Nice. I tried to think of a type of exercise for terraforming that wasn't super basic, but that also wasn't super complicated. So if there's people that are starting with Axiom, they can still follow along. And if there's people that already know how to do some of the things, they can maybe still learn something cool. So it's gonna be, we'll see. We'll start more basic, and I'll see how you guys go, and we'll address any concerns or any questions that you may have. So let me talk a little bit first about the idea for this, and we are not going to be following a reference picture, but I think it's better to show this rather than explain it with words, because it is better that way. Let me see if I can find it. Reference images. This one. We are not going to be trying to do this. It's not my idea for everybody to work on the exact same thing. But yes, my idea is for everyone to work on something similar. And what I want you to pay attention on this, which is what we're going to try to do, which is the way that the exercises are planned, is, if you can see this, we can divide this terrain in probably more than 2 things, but I'm going to divide it into 2 things. One, the big rock that is like extruding from the terrain, and 2, the more smoother terrain from underneath. If you begin paying attention, or if you know something about geology, or it has to do a little bit with that, but I'm not gonna get into that. The idea is to separate in those 2 elements, building the terrain in parts. And I think that's one of the most... That's when a terrain begins to be a bit more interesting, when you start combining different techniques and you start merging together with a reason, with a story behind, with a meaning. You're going to create a YouTube replay from the class? Yes. Yes. It's the live stream is gonna stay as a VOD in the different places. On Twitch and on YouTube, yes. So yeah, what I want you to think now is we are going to be working in 2 separate pieces, right? One with one technique, another with another technique. So we are going to be working on 2 separate things when it comes to shaping. Those are the first 2 exercises with 2 different methods. And Then we are going to combine them, and then we are going to paint them. So that's what we're gonna do. Those are the 3 or 4 steps. Of course, there's more techniques and there's different ways to do it, but I think this is a nice way to break it down and think of the terrain as different elements with different characteristics. And I thought this image was a good representation of that, with the smooth slopes underneath and the big chunk of rock at the top. Are you gonna check our builds at the end? Yes, I'm gonna check the builds midway through and at the end. Of those who want. Those who want to showcase what they've been up to and get some feedback, we'll do that. If it's all of you, I will go a bit faster. If it's some of you, I'll maybe able to go a bit slower. But the idea is to take advantage of being all in the same server and so that I can see the things. Who changed their name to Calvin Klein? Don't make me laugh, or I will start coughing. Okay, so we are ready to start then. Any questions so far? I don't think there's any questions regarding what we are gonna do. So, this is the first exercise. We will begin by trying to build some type of rock. Okay, so I'm gonna do something quickly, and then I'm gonna do it again more slowly. While you also do it. I choose a placeholder block. You can choose any placeholder block. I like cyan wool, but feel free to grab any one. Also, hang on, let me do a show key presses. So if anybody's not sure what buttons to press, you can take a look at the bottom right corner. They should be pressing over there. They should be showing up over there. And the first thing that I'm gonna use is use a shape tool. The shape tool is this one over here, the one that has the circle, the triangle, and the square. And I'm gonna use this to create a large, for example, I think a cylinder works really nice. But we're gonna use this to begin with a basic shape. And this is gonna be like the rock that is extruding from the terrain. So you can use a cylinder. I think cylinders were really nice, but you could also use a cube if you want, or yeah, I don't know, more than this, maybe a super sphere could work as well, depending on what you want. I like the cylinder and I like to keep it flat in height, and we can use this to, for example, type in any number and drag the handles to rotate them in any direction. So with this, we can begin working on a very basic first shape for the terrain. So we can do, for instance, this is a good one. This is probably my favorite one to use, the cylinder. Or if you want something more rounded, probably the super sphere could be a nice start as well. Or we can probably do something like this. And this helps create like a basic shape for a rock of whatever size, scale that you want. In this case, I'm gonna stay with both. And this helps you to get right away those inclinations that are complicated when we are working with terrain, which is the true advantage of this. If you want something that is more steep, you can also do that. In this case, I think something like that is all fine. And increase the brightness. There we go. That's a basic thing. So far, we are not laying the terrain in any way, in any shape or form. We are just going to be modeling a rock. I think that's the simplest that we can start with this. So once we have the first shape selected with an inclination and a size If you're beginning with this, I would recommend going for something large. I think that is easier. Why don't you share the reference image? Because the idea is not to follow that reference image. We are not trying to replicate it. We are just trying, we are taking that as an inspiration. If you want to follow a different shape than what I'm doing, feel free to go for a different thing. But we are not replicating, we are just learning the techniques. We are gonna arrive at something probably kinda similar, but not fully similar. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to open the tool mask menu over here. Any fix to my axiom just turning off randomly? I don't know what that might be. And in the tool mask, we are just going to place the cyan wool, or the block that we are basically using for our terrain. And here begins the fun part, where we can use 3 different tools for this part. The easiest, or I think maybe probably the most fun to understand, is the melting. The melting tool is a really cool one, where we just come here and begin melting parts of this rock to try to give it a more random shape, because of course it'd be weird to have in nature a perfect cylinder as a rock. So what we are going to do is simply choose a smaller radius probably. What I like to do here is reduce the strength so it's not so sharp, not so strong, and begin carving out some areas. Probably especially all this underneath part, to kind of create some overhangs on the rocks, some indentations. Same thing on the other side. So here we're just gonna spend some time carving out this rock, creating indentations. Nothing super fancy, just a little bit. I'm going away from the thing. There we go. Something to break up the cylinder in the first point. I'm using the most basic here shape for the melting, which is the sphere. From all of these, I would say probably the only other one that can give you a different result is the cone, because it has this 2-spike shape, which can make a nice result if you make it very sharp like this, very tall and sharp. But in this case, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. But in general, I would use between those two, between the melting with the sphere shape or the cone. I think those are good. If you're starting, I would say just use a sphere. It's the safest. See how the cylinder works nicer for this technique. The sphere, I made it too thin, so we are kind of lacking that effect that we wanted. But it's fine, because we can use something else. So that was the melting. The next one that we can use to carve out, which is really fun, is the lasso select. This one is a really cool one. We can basically increase the depth of the tool to the maximum, and what we can do with this is we align ourselves to the piece of terrain and we hold right click to draw a segment. Then we hit enter, and that's gonna create a selection between ourselves and the blocks, in this case of cyan wool, because that's what we have on the tool mask. And what we can do with that is then, for example, get rid of this and get a chunk of the terrain broken. This is really nice to make like a broken piece of the rock. In this case, I think that's probably a bit too much. or we can do it in this one to create like a sharper bottom to this. Nope, sorry, I misclicked. We can align ourselves there and do zoop, 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 and then get rid of that. So we still have like a curving top, but the base is a bit more flat. Or we can do it here from the side maybe. Just selecting and carving this out. We can create some indentations. This is a very powerful tool for all this. You just hold and draw what you wanna get rid of. We can do the same here. Maybe a bigger piece, like so. And perhaps we can get rid of that. Or what we can do, we can also, when we select it, we can cut it, and that way we get like a smaller rock piece that then we can use to decorate the terrain. I don't know what was that sound. I'm just, oh, that was a message. Just typing something. Okay, yeah. Okay. How is everybody doing with this so far? Any questions about these three tools? I think they are very simple. Doing good. Nice. Okay. So we can spend some time. Can we use high maps? We will get to that. We will get to that. That's the second part. In this part, I would say let's limit ourselves to that. If you can, if you want to use them, use them. I don't want to limit yourself really. I'm getting so far now. If my Discord could stop messing up audio, no. Perfect. Okay, nice. Nice, Evan. Thank you. In private messages, no? So far I was scared for the sound, Willa, but I'll keep it in mind. Thank you. All right. So this is how to model this. A couple extra tools that are not necessary, but for those that want to take it that extra step. The meld tool, the weld tool, I mean, is a really good one because we have it nice. I'm happy with this as a rock, but the top surface is very, very smooth. It's still a straight line, so we can right click on it with this, and it adds like a small amount of terrain. It's like the inverse to melting, and it still preserves the orientation that we had, which is really nice. So you can use this to add that small variation. We can also use it smaller to add like an overhang, for instance, over here. If we want this segment to be more prominent at the end or on the edges, the weld tool is a really good one for that. Same here. We can probably make the end a bit more crazy. So, but it doesn't need to look good right away. This part is not, it's just the beginning. Well, in this case, I don't like that, but we could use the weld tool for this to add those variations. Probably this one needs it here at the base. Something like that. And of course, the two classic tools that we are going to be using, not only here, but in other places, is the smooth tool, which is this one over here, to smooth out the shape if you want. I wouldn't overdo this, because here we are doing a rock, and I think one of the main characteristics of having a rock is to kind of have it a bit noisy. You don't want it to be super smooth. And if we smooth all of this, we just lose most of that most of the rough edges. We still preserve the shape, but it's now a smooth rock. Honestly, this is more something that has to do with your style preference. You can have a terrain that has all smooth rocks. I tend to like it a bit more like this, where the edges are more rough. Same here. But that's up to you, really, how you use the smoothness. And the biggest recommendation, and this is something that I used all the time since I learned it from Deep Sky Miner, is using the roughen tool to smooth out. That way you can smooth without losing those sharp edges. I don't know if it helps anybody. If you're building, think about what you think the weather and such would be like for smoothing. Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, thinking of erosion. So this roughen tool with 3 min faces, it's a really good one because it creates that variation without losing the shapes. So super recommended to try this one out if you want a middle point between smoothing and not smoothing. Is this your plot, Willa? Nice. Okay, that's exercise 1, doing the rocks. Anybody that is on the stage wants me to come over and take a look at what they're doing, or if here on the chat. Me, I need advice. Okay, let me TP to you. Me, please. I'm not sure if I'm getting the roughing right. Okay. Let me check this and we'll go there. Okay, where is yours? Okay. So, I think the only problem here, which is probably what it's a bit weird, is maybe it's a bit too small. And it's fine, you can do it small. You don't need to make it super large like the one that I did. But if you do it small, you will need to use brushes for melting that are way smaller. Probably the smallest possible. Because if not, you will end up with these areas where you can kind of see the sphere from the melting. And that is something that you want to avoid. When you look at it from far away, you don't want to see the shape of the brush. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that the shape of the brush, you want to use the techniques, but at the same time you don't want other people to be able to tell right away which are the techniques that you're using. And one of the biggest problems with that tends to be the sizes of the brush. So it's not bad. I think I like it. I think it can still work. So don't get rid of it or don't change it. But if you can, for example, use the welding tool here, can I? No, I cannot do. But if you can use the welding tool to kind of fill in some of these parts, or some of these parts, or using the melting to maybe get rid and break them more here on the edges, that can help it be a bit better. Okay, but it's good. If you struggle with this one, try a bigger one. Make a bigger cylinder and repeat. You will get better with practice, but it's a good one. Who else? Nordic? Yes, Nordic. Let me TP to you, Nordic. Hello. Okay. Which one are you working on? The big one or the cylinder one? Big one, okay. So you went for a more taller one, I like it. Again, same thing, there are areas where you can really see the brush right away in the shape. You wanna try to perhaps here what could be nice is go with a smaller, leave it like that, but go with a smaller one and break it down a bit more in areas like that, in areas like this, in areas like that. And in this case, the second thing is I know you're probably still working on it. But you also don't want to be able to see the original shape so much. Like here, the cylinder is too perfect on these three parts. So maybe it would be a nice idea to kind of probably get rid of all this segment or one of the corners, or to break it down here or break it down there. Basically keep melting that. Keep melting it and carving it out. Don't be afraid. I think you have a big cylinder here, so you can go crazy with the melting here. You can really carve out a more interesting shape from here. Probably have like an overhang by melting all this. And the same here. So yeah, don't be afraid to melt away all of it. Could you look at mine? Yes. I mean, trying to roughen it and it's not moving much. No, this one still needs to be more. You need to break the shape first. This one needs to. You need to break the shape like crazy. Find like my recommendation for this would be to find like a position for instance from this side, and melt away until you lose the cylinder. Until the cylinder has a different shape. You want to add like more faces to it. Probably the lasso select can be good for this, because you can just grab this and get rid of it. So you can get rid of some corners. But don't be afraid. This is just an exercise, so this is the time to go crazy with melting and all that. Let me go to Ishaya. I don't know if I missed anybody else before, but let me know. Do you mind checking mine after that? Yes, no problem. Yes. We'll check everyone. Did you get the TP request? No. Ah, there we go. Hello. Okay, I like this one. Okay, this one is a good example of breaking it up. I would probably I like it. I really like this one in Shaya. I think it's good. I would probably smooth it out now a little bit. There are some areas here, this corner. I think this is probably a side effect of using the roughen. So maybe here a smoothing with one can help you, because what you want to avoid in general is a lot of single blocks. Oh, that's so much better. You don't want a lot of single blocks. A couple is fine in some areas, but in there and in here where you have like a bunch of single block noise, that tends to be a bit too much. So it's in general something to avoid. Here it's fine because it's like a couple areas, but when you have a bigger section with a bunch of those single blocks poking out, that tends to be very clashy to the eye. It doesn't work really nice. So it's about finding that balance, and one good rule is always be like, okay, do I have too many of these? For instance, this single block is weird, so you can like add a couple around, or you can get rid of them, basically. That's like a number one tip for finding that balance between roughen and smoothing. But overall the shape is fine. Maybe you could try to break it down a bit more here at the bottom. Normally the bottom face is not gonna be seen, but you know, adding a little bit here, not a lot, but changing this a little bit can also be nice. But overall I think it's really nice. From far away it looks like a rock. And you're using prismarine, which is my favorite block, so you know, you got it. Me please, Nagi? Okay, let me go to Eruatian. And then we'll go to Yunagi. Hello, Shen. Hi, Panda. Welcome in. Okay, did you use a square or did you use a cylinder? See, that's something that I like. Not being able to tell right away what you used, that's a good one. I like it. I think that's nice. It even has a really nice... I tried to use a cube for the first time. Okay, nice. I really like the way that the surface feels smoother and the base looks a bit more rough. That's a nice way of doing it. Yeah, I don't think I have any notes here. I think you did a nice job. Probably you... Did you use the lasso select here or was it all melting? I think that's really nice. This makes for a really nice rock. Calvin, are you giving advice in terrain in general or for a specific technique you showed? No, we are doing a mix, but mostly yes, we are trying to focus on the technique that I showed. Because the thing with terrain is it goes anywhere. You can go with many different techniques, many different styles. So there are, I think, some generalities, but to actually make something useful and do exercises, we have to do something more concrete. So it's a bit of both, but mostly I think we are following specific techniques. I use the lasso over there. Fair. Nice. I like it. Can you check mine? Kinda looks like a chicken tender. Okay. Yes, let me go to Nagi. What is your username, Nagi? And then we can check yours, Rixie. Ah, there we go. Let me go there. But no, I like it. Eruatin, I think it's really good. Those that I already checked, if you guys are happy with it, try to make another one. Another one larger or similar. Try to replicate it again while I still check the others. Because if we have more, it can be nice to use more than one asset. Oh, I really like this one. That is nice. That is really nice, Nagi. I like that it starts thicker here and it thins out towards the end. I think that's a good... That's generally a good rule. You cannot go wrong by doing that. My sort of work has zero idea what's in store after this class. Amazing. I like it. I think it's really good, Nagi. This is not a step where you should perfect the shape. Or am I wrong? Honestly, I mean, you can. If you want to go further, you can, of course. You can always add more and perfect it. But here we are just gonna... I think leaving it at this stage for what we're gonna do now is all fine. But you could. There are areas where you could definitely perfect this and have it be more clean. That is for sure. But in this case, maybe on a small scale for more perfection, yes, that's where we're gonna see a little bit of that. But I think as a general start, this is really good. Hang on. I started learning terrain 2 days ago. I have a finished terrain that I started yesterday, so if you have time after, you help out the people following your technique. I appreciate tips. Okay, yeah, we can do that. At the end, we can do some more general questions and things. So if you have something to show different from this, we can take that. But no, really nice. Who else was waiting for it? Rixie. There we go. Thank you. Rixie, nice. Hello, hello. Okay, you did two different ones. Okay. I think this one is a bit better. This is smaller, but better in this case. This one, at least from this side. Okay, so from this side, well, the first thing is here it's maybe a bit too noisy on this part. I will try maybe or smoothing this out or adding a bit over here. And something that I didn't mention, so you didn't have to know this. But imagine this as a rock that is hanging out from the terrain, right? Imagine the bottom part is like inside a mountain and this part is hanging out. With that in mind, it's kinda weird that the underneath part of it has so much zigzag. Like it's thinner here and then it gets thicker there. It kinda looks like it's going to break. Like it's going to break here and fall off. You kinda want to keep in mind a bit of those things. It takes practice, of course. It's not something that is gonna happen immediately. But you kinda wanna be thicker here and you want it to kinda constantly get thinner. It's okay if it has a little bit of an extra thing. Sometimes it works, but in general, to be safer, you don't want to have like a lot of it. It depends on the inclination. It's kind of like developing a bit of an eye for what makes physical sense. And I think here it's a bit probably too much. I would like try to cut it here maybe with the lasso select. That's not the thing. Maybe like getting rid of that with a straight line. That will make it perhaps make a bit more sense when you take a look at it from here. But other than that, I think it's fine. And in here it works. Here it works a bit better. It still has a bit of that here, but I think the scale is helping it to feel like that. Or another way to solve that is adding more thickness here on the base. See, that's a bit better already. If you just there, I think that works way better. And smoothing in general, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I think it reads as a rock, which is what matters. To do this with Axiom closing every 5 seconds. Yeah, that's annoying. I really don't know why that could be. Sonic and Tails, I love that. No distractions. Yeah, I don't know why that's the case. It should remain opened. Maybe a different version. What game version are you using? That can be causing some issue. That's the only thing that I can think of. Newest. I'll try the servers. Maybe the new. Yeah. Wait, I have the newest version of Axiom, so it's fine. It'll be fine. Okay. Did I miss anyone? Is anybody else wanting to check? Hester, are you really following along, Hester? Okay. I thought you were here just to be annoying. Hi, Hester. Okay. And Fish is building a house. Working with the kids. Yeah, I see. Okay. It's not bad. I don't know what this is. This part is confusing. I assume you're trying to combine more than one shape into it. I think it's maybe a bit too smooth. Again, it's style preference. As a shape is fine. I have a preference for when it is a bit more rough, but I think it's fine as a shape over here. Maybe this one, I would fix these areas. Don't make fun of me. I am building this as if I was in survival. Okay. Okay, try to fix these areas then. This is more important. You don't wanna be you don't wanna see the spheres and the holes. But yeah. I don't know exactly what you're going to do. Are you using World Edit for the spheres? Yeah, okay. Okay, that's okay. But I will maybe then do the rough shape with the World Edit spheres, smooth them out, and then melt. You really don't wanna have all those things, but it's fine. It's looking nice. Hey, that's looking way better. Yeah. Anybody else wants to do over to them? Okay, let's see this one. Did we do? Okay. Oh, this is so much better. I like it now. Yeah, look at that. That is way better. Still some areas like this, maybe it's a bit too rough. Again, we have the single block mess, but you can easily smooth that out. But as a shape in general, I think this works way better. I like it. I came late, so I gotta catch up. Okay, we are just on the first exercise, which is doing some rocks. But that's way better. Way better. The carving outs look way more natural. You could still add more. I would probably add more carving outs here, for instance. This is still too cylindrical, but I guess you're working on it, so that's all fine. Do you take a look at this smaller one? Yes, let's take a look at that one, and then we continue. Terraforming. or more specific. Okay. Building rocks. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, kinda. I don't know if you're here. Rocks for cliffs. Smaller cylinder. Okay. So this is a no-no, clearly. Unless you have the holes for a reason. But the holes in general maybe fill this in. When did you start builders refuging? I don't know. I don't know when. I'm thinking it's like when you enter one of those caves. Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, if it's a choice for the thing that you wanna do, that's fine. I think it goes. I think it makes sense. Maybe I would try to break, yeah, I will try to break this connection. Because I guess this is like something that is hanging out on top of this other rock. So you wanna make sure that one is on top of the other. And not fully smoothly connected. But other than that, if this is a choice because you want the rock to have those holes, then it's fine. I think it looks realistic. Wasn't meshing well. Yeah, I get the idea. Maybe what you can do is or maybe get rid of these 3 blocks. Just those 3 blocks. This one and this one. That creates a bit of a better separation between the two of them. It's a small scale to really sell the idea, but it's fine. Okay. I think so good so far. think he was trying to roughen it, but it wasn't paying. Yeah, at that scale, probably you need to do it by hand. There's like no other way. Okay. So we have our rocks. In general, for any terrain piece, only one cliff is not enough. So you will have to like do this a couple times with similar inclinations, with similar shapes. Or because I am all about building quickly, let me show you a quick tip to do that fast, which is basically first making a copy of your rock. And first thing, you can unlock rotation over here. So if you need to fix the orientation of the rock, you can quickly use that to make, for instance, something that is more vertical or more horizontal. Then of course you would need to go back and smooth some areas and do all that. But something to keep in mind, you can use that one. In this case, I like the orientation, so we are going to keep it. And the other one that is very important, I think, for terrain, because it saves a lot of time, is this button that says rotate scale and using nearest neighbors. With these three last parameters, we can scale the rock up and down to create more rocks that are similar but different. So for instance, let's reduce this to 0.75. So we put a 0.75 in the three scales and we scale it down. So we get a smaller rock, and maybe we can rotate it a little bit so it's not the same orientation. So then we can use these both rocks as our assets for the terrain. And quickly we can use the roughen here to smooth this out. Always roughen with three faces. The key here are the three faces on the roughen tool. So it doesn't, because if you do it with one, it's going to create those single block noises that I've seen many people do. So don't do roughen with one, do roughen with three. Love that. Alright, so that will be the end of exercise 1. Spend as much time as you need with making the rocks, but what I've seen so far is really good. So there's really no need for anyone to start over or to change it too much. We can move on to the next one. So where we are? Did I mix anything? No, I didn't mix anything from what I wanted to talk. Okay. So let me bring back the reference. I know we are not following the reference, but so what we need to imagine now is that the terrain piece that we just did, the rock, would be something like this big rock that we see there on the reference, right? This is what we just did. One of these rocks, or the whole rock, or whatever. And you can see that it's like coming out of the other smoother terrain. So what we are going to do now is we are going to work on that. We are going to work on this smoother terrain, and then we are going to combine both of them to end up with something that looks more interesting than just one rock. So big rock, yes. Is this my plot? Yes. Okay. So the first thing, if we did this on the center, we can grab those that we liked. If you did a couple different ones, This is the time to get rid of those that you don't like. For instance, this small rock, I don't care for it, so let's get rid of that. And these three for now, I'm going to move them to the side. Now, this is when we need to start to think on how we are going to be placing these rocks. For that, we need to know what we want. So for instance, let's say we have this one. The most basic would be to have like a small slope of terrain and the rock coming out of it. Another one could be of having the similar asset a couple times at different distances, and then the terrain going around it. So it's about thinking what you want, or if you don't know what you want, we can just start playing and figure that out later. But if you have a more solid idea of what it is that you're trying to build or the composition that you want, this is a good moment to be like, okay, actually it will be from the beginning. If you have a very solid idea of what you want, you will need to do that from the beginning. But now that we have a couple terrain pieces, we can begin thinking of that in a more solid way. If not, what we are going to do now, forgetting about that, is use the elevation tool. And we are not going to add any type of height map at this part. We could, if you want. You can load the height map and use a more realistic height map for the terrain. But honestly, it's not necessary. What we're going to do with the elevation tool is somewhere where we don't have the rocks. Let's go over here. We use the raise mode, which is the default one. My recommendation always here is to reduce the smoothing a little bit. I like to reduce it quite a bit to 0.4, 0.5. But for this case, I think I actually want something more smooth. So let's use 0.6. If we want it to go faster, we can increase the rate. And basically, we are going to just right click to begin creating a more interesting terrain. Something that I like to do here before is use another placeholder and add this platform. Let's say over here, to kinda limit the area where we are going to be doing the terrain. If not, you can just do it on the base ground, but I like to do this, and then yes, we begin elevating the terrain. Not with it really doesn't matter too much. The general technique here is to play with the radius. If you make a smaller radius, you create some spikes in the areas where you want the spikes, and then you will increase the radius to kind of raise everything together. Of course, we want to avoid these things, so once we have something somewhat decent, the key here is to begin using the flatten up, or first in this case I think I'm going to use the flatten down, and we're going to bring down those spikes at different levels with different brush radius. And then yes, we're going to flatten up. And I will say the key to any of these terrains, even if we wanted to do it smoothly, is to add this kind of overhangs with a flatten up. This is a nice way to shape the terrain. And how do I like it? Okay, I think that's fine. We can make it a bit taller here. So basically this technique is probably the easiest and one of the most powerful for terraforming. And it's honestly is this combining the different raise, lower, flatten up, and flatten down mode to just begin creating the shape. In this case, I think I want it to be something way smoother, so I'm going to smooth it out like crazy. I'm getting kicked again. Hi, Mace. Is everybody getting kicked? I feel like my Twitch chat is here on the server now. Can you add a Subway Surfing gameplay on the side of the screen? Yes, we can. Okay, so that creates it very smooth. Again, I don't like it so smooth, but we can use this. Probably I'm going to bring this down. I think the scale here, I fell a bit too short with this scale, so I'm going to add another square here on this side and try to use that. Maybe here as well. So that we can flatten up and keep adding those pieces of terrain. And then of course you can apply all the same tools that we used before, right? Melting and all that to kind of break some of the shapes. Again, I think the main thing here is to kind of avoid having a super to have the cylinders or the spheres. You kind of want to avoid that. So using the melt to kind of break those down whenever you have them is always a good idea. Or if you want an overhang, again, the weld tool is a powerful one to be like over here and just add those bits of terrain. Poking out. Hi Blair, Shishi on the mark. So we can create some of that. That's always nice. We can smooth them out a little bit. Just have fun, honestly, with this. This is the part when you can go crazy. If you don't like it, we can melt it out. Actually, I don't like it. It is lagging a bit. But basically creating a base terrain. This is not something that is going to look super interesting. That's not the idea. But once we have it, we can grab the terrain pieces that we did before. We can carry it with Ctrl X, and we can try to accommodate these pieces on the previous terrain and see where they would work. For example, I think there is a nice one. If we made a copy of it, we can try to add another one. Normally I will have two different sets, but it's fine if it's just one. The idea here is to combine the different techniques and the different pieces of the terrain to make something that looks different or more unique. Oh, never mind. There we go. That's probably a bit too much, but it's fine. We can use this other one that is smaller and rotate it. Maybe this one, I'm going to change the inclination, make it more spiky. And add them in. Something that I should have done though before this. Yes, I'm not going to be deleting them. I'm just going to use them here and I'm gonna save them. We put one there. We placed one underneath, a bit further apart. And we placed the small one here with a bigger inclination. There we go. This one that we rotated, we are going to roughen and maybe smooth it a little bit. All right. I think so far we need a bit of a better scaling for this. I'm gonna bring this up here. And we are going to repeat the same thing over here on this side until we get to something that makes more sense for the scale of this. And I'm actually gonna use this to show you something else. I'm gonna do something more quickly. I'm gonna create like a valley with these rocks poking out. Something that I didn't show you. Is this another tool? Which is a slope tool. This is also a really good one to create some nice terrain that is probably a bit more smooth, but it has like this slope. So it's another recommended tool for this part. But in general, it doesn't go much further than this with these tools. So I'm doing it more quickly. But in general, what I will say for terrain is, oh, this one a bit higher up, it's fine. One of the best ways, or I don't know if best ways, but one of the simplest ways to make a terrain a bit more interesting is doing this, of separating it in two parts and combining the different techniques. That tends in general to give a nice result. Of course, it's more complicated because you end up using like 20 different techniques, but I think it's worth it. But also this is the technique that you would use if you want to create a mountain, right? the elevation one. So this one I'm not spending too much time on it. We're gonna rotate it. And this one maybe we'll bring it further down, further out, What we want is this terrain cliff to maybe look like that. We can rotate it a little bit. Yeah, okay, there we go. There's that one there. And we can use the one that we didn't use, which is the one at the top, in a very similar way. We adapt it and we place it. Something like that. I think that looks decent. That looks interesting enough. In general, what I will do as well, here I'm not going to spend that much time, but we can smooth out the slope that goes up to this, instead of leaving it this sharp. But that is very optional. If it's breaking, we can use that. We can use this, and we can use roughen. It's not gonna work if I'm standing too far apart. There we go. This one got too noisy, so let's try to fix it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. That will be the exercise 2. So kinda create those smoother slopes. It's gonna come together once we paint it. But I think the elevation tool is one of the essential tools when it comes to terraforming. Let me take a look. Yeah. Something that I didn't show that I think is really useful sometimes is if you are trying to adapt a rock to this, you can put it in place, and before painting, before placing it, you can keep it on this holographic form and use elevation to kinda make this fit, so you can still use the other tools and adapt the terrain to it, which I think is really neat to be able to do this. So you can see where the rock is gonna go, and you'll be just working around it, which is a really nice way of doing it. But yeah, how is it going? Anybody wants me to go around and check what they are up to with this? In this case, I'm not gonna do it because the scale doesn't work. In a second, yes. Okay, yeah, take your time. I'm still working on my assets. I tend to take a bit longer. That is fine. That is fine. Definitely doing things. Okay. I get rid of that. I get rid of this. I mean, it's not bad. We can leave that. The idea is not to like spend forever on the assets, right? I don't want this to. The idea is for you to then maybe take away these techniques, and yes, if you want to create something a bit more polished, you can do that. Try what you did in your last video, Calvin. Okay. You want to take a look at the build dimension while you wait? You can. Okay, we can do that if everybody's working on other things. Mine looks terrible. We can take a look back really if you want. Oh, I'm somewhere else. Okay, so this is a bigger project. How do you scale a copy? I forgot. So you need to select it, cut it, And on the top right here, you should see a button that is rotate scale. But you need to have your build on the hologram. I can show it here. So if you have your thing here on the hologram form, you need to press here on rotate scale and find the option nearest neighbor. That's what you need. Okay, so what are you? It's my first event heavy build. Okay. It's nice. It's lacking some, maybe a bit of erosion in some areas, but I think it looks nice. And you should have seen mine from the first round. I like it. Let's use pyramids and rock tool. Okay. I think the scale is fine. Sometimes it's complicated to merge a building with the mountain because the scales can be off if the mountain is too small compared to the build, or if the build is too large, then you get something that is out of proportion. But I think here it works. Something that I didn't mention, and actually seeing this reminds me of that. I think it's good. It's maybe a bit too smooth, but I think scale-wise it's really well. It's really good. Do you think the bottom part here is too big? Let me get an ocean or something instead. All this area. This area is a bit empty, yes. Yeah, I would try to, or bring the mountains further out, like maybe over there. Or maybe add a river here. This feels like there could be a river in this part. Or a forest. I would honestly go for river and forest. That was the idea, yeah. River plus forest, yeah, I would do that. I would do that. What I would also try to do is maybe a path. Well, I see you have it here, because it goes there and it goes there. Yeah, never mind. I see it now. What I'm finding though is there's like a very strong separation between the rock and the grass. Like it goes flat, 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 and all of a sudden mountain. So maybe adding some rocks here on the edge of the mountains so that the transition is a bit smoother. That could be a nice idea. Wanna foliage and path blocks? Okay. I'm ready, please and thank you. Okay, let me check over there. Do you have any tips for planning towns? Not really. What you are doing is the best. You just need to plan out where you want every building. I'm striving. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I would maybe start with the paths. If you find using the houses as the reference complicated, maybe I'll... What happened? Why am I here? Maybe if you're struggling with the houses, use the paths as planning and then combine the rest. Yeah, okay, there we go. For the help, no problem. Okay, I see you did a couple one. Oh, you scaled this one up? Nice. Okay. I will say maybe this is a bit... I scaled and played around with that. Yeah, okay. What am I supposed to look at then? I play with elevation here. Okay. I think you would need to go a bit crazier here with elevation. What I would do is maybe I would move all this around, move it more to a corner, and play with elevation on a bigger scale. Because what you wanna do, the elevation part needs to be kinda bigger than this in general, or at least the same scale. Because then if you put this here, this is gonna be a bit too much. Trying to think of like currents and such. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thinking of erosion and the river paths and that is fine. But I think the scale is a bit off between the two things, because the idea here is to combine, right? What you're doing here with elevation with what you did here with the terrain. So you kind of want to have a similar scale. And in this case, this needs to be a bit way larger. Trying to melt, roughen, and elevate, and it wasn't wanting to play nice. Fair. It's okay, take your time. As I said, maybe free up some space here, like move these assets around, and grab at least 1/4 of the plot to do that. Alvin, can you TP? Yes. Hang on, I think someone asked first. Nagi, okay, let's go to Nagi. Nagi. Let's go to Nagi. Nate wants to talk. Hi, Nate. Ah, you don't want to talk. Fair. Ooh, okay. Okay, so you grab the entire plot. Okay, that's actually a good one. For the scale of this, grabbing the full plot is a good approach. Yeah, I have no notes. This is good. This is how you do it. I like this one way better than mine even. The scale is clean. Don't look at the back. That's fine. You're going bigger. You're going larger. B1. That is nice. That works really well. This is a good example. That's why we build against things, so we don't have to look at the back. Yeah. Now this is really cool. Of course, I understand you need to carve out the back, but it works. And you're also playing with different scales, because you have the scale of the base terrain, the smaller rocks, and you made a crazy big rock at the center, which helps put everything in perspective. I like it. I like it. Let's go to King. Could you say, look, just couldn't place my rock, so I try something different? Okay. Real builder never works on the back. Exactly. Okay, this is good. Yeah. I would maybe. It doesn't need to be, really. Maybe smooth out the base terrain a bit more on the edges. I think that can give it a nicer contrast. But I think scale-wise it's nice. It's like a cliff. It has the contrast between the rock and the slope. ¿Puedo incluir Litemática? Yeah. You can export it as a schematic if you want. I can show you. I think it works for the Litemática as well. I like it. I think it's nice. The scale of the two things works. You can? Yeah. I think you can. Almost sure. It looks nice. King. I think it's good. Other than maybe smoothing it this a bit more, but it works really well. It works really, really well. I really like it. Maybe if you want, now that you have the two pieces together, maybe like coming back to the yellow bit and melting here a little bit to create like an overhang. That could be nice. But just an idea to try and make it look different. But yeah, it's fine. It is very good. Let's go to Ishaya now. Can you look at mine? Yes. I'll go to Shaya, then I can go to yours, Bekrilo. And after, yes. Let me grab a mate. Look. Okay. Yes, Rixie, we can go there as well. And then yours? Okay. Okay. Alright. I think it's good. Maybe straight away what is a bit weird here, Ishaya, is this one. It's kinda like a weird pick. It's too horizontal. Maybe I'll try to separate it in only one. So it's not so thick. But overall, I think it looks very interesting as a mountain. And you're even working on some rivers. That is fine. This is a good example to kind of work on some paths where you would have water falling down and erosion. And for the rock placement, you don't need to. I think the issue that you're having here is the scale, right? You are conflicting a bit with the scale. Like this and that have maybe a similar scale, so it doesn't make too much sense. Like the spikiness, but if you then have time, don't combine these. Treat them as separate things. But if then you have time, maybe try to like grab another plot and do a big area here with elevation and then try to use the rock there. Yes, jalapeno, I can go there and then we can come back to this, because if you need to go, that is fine. Okay. Oh, here you had an issue because you had the rock on top. I will maybe try moving the rock and fixing this area. Try to add a river. Okay. Yeah, again, here maybe I will try to continue this and use the whole plot for this base terrain and then use the rocks. I'm gonna work out how to move it. So you need to select it and then press Ctrl X to carry it and then you can move it around. I tried, but it just crashed my game. I don't know then what might be the case. But yeah, that's nice. Maybe I'll try to add more shape here a little bit on this end. It's a bit too smooth, but other than that, yep. For the device, no worries. Are you okay with the feedback, Ishai? I didn't see any answer. We can take a look again if you need. I don't know if I was clear. I'm fine. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will try maybe later. Like grab the terrain piece that you did, move it around, and do another one larger to be able to place the rock in there. I think Vekrilo, you want me to check it out? I don't know if I'm mixing anyone, but okay. This is big. Hey, that's nice. This is looking crazy. And so you are already also using a bit of painting, getting a bit ahead of what we are going to do, but it's nice. Can I just go in for Pride Rock? Yeah, no, that works really well. I like it. This is nice. No notes. Very good. Very, very good. What did you use? Let us know what you used here. Because I think you are using a different technique. Slope and rock. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Doing this with a laptop trackpad and a controller is definitely interesting. Yeah, you are being limited, I think, Nordic, by that, but it's fine. And height, of course. Very nice. I like it. It looks very epic. I think the scale is right. The shapes are right. There's no area that is kinda chunky or anything like that. I'll have a lamp desk and be able to use. Yeah, no, that's fine. You are doing pretty good for using that. I like it, Bekrilo. Very good. Did I miss anyone? Anyone else wants me to check it out? If not, Rixie. Yes. Let's go to Rixie. Almost done. Okay. Loki never used a slope. Slope is fun, but it's not necessary. Look at back. That's fine. Okay. Did you merge the rocks into this? Yes. Okay. You smoothed it quite a bit. I see. But that's fine. I like it. It looks very different. Maybe I think scale-wise is fine. If you already use the rocks and you don't want to use them again, maybe get rid of these 2 rocks. And then grab this whole thing, like probably a box select. Like this. You just grab all this. Cut it with Ctrl X and move it around. And then maybe grab the whole plot and use an elevation over there. I'm gonna do that with mine so I can show you there. But I think it would be nice to have this more as a centerpiece and have like a smoother slopes all around. I think that would make it look very nice. But it's looking cool. But yeah, I will try to maybe put it in the center and create more slopes all around. I think that would be really, really cool. But yeah, I like how it's looking. Can check mine. Yes, Travis. But looking very Ulrixy. I like it. I like it. Oh, this is. I thought it was mine. I thought this was my rock. Very, very similar. I like it. Oh, okay. What are you using here, Travis? This is very different. This is not elevation, isn't it? Very cool cliff. Bunch of cylinders. Okay. Yeah, the classic technique. I like it. I would say maybe there are still a couple cylinders that are a bit too cylinder-like. This one and this one mostly. So I would probably break this down a little bit more. A little not survivor friendly. The diamonds, yeah. But other than that, I think it looks really nice. Honestly, I don't think adding the rock would be nice here. I would leave it as it is. I don't know how the sloped rock could work here. You can try to add it somewhere. But it was really nice. I wanna see the oceans and everything now. You give an opinion on mine again? Yes, of course. It was really nice, Nagi, already. You can try to do a cascading waterfall. Okay. Yeah. Go to Nagi, and then we'll continue. I think I'm missing someone. There's a waterfall. I assume you use path or modeling for that. More smaller rocks. Yeah, that works really nice. I like it. Modeling? Okay. And come look at ours. Okay. I like it. That is good. This is good. Let's go to fishy. Now I feel like it needs to continue the waterfall all the way down. You're all cooking? Really, honestly, it's looking... All the different terrains are looking really nice. Also, hi Helen. Hello. Yes, up to it. Yeah. Okay, this is coming together. I had my doubts when I saw this originally, Hester, but it's looking better. Remind when you can. Okay. And there's a frog here. Everything's better with the frog. Lovely. Lovely, lovely fishy. And Hester. Waterfall inside. Okay. The back is interesting. But it's kind of cool to see the technique. I like it. That is nice. That is nice. Let's go to maze. Okay. Oh, you're painting already. You're getting ahead. You're getting ahead from the third one, but that's fine. You know the tricks? You know the tricks. Okay. What do we have here? Maze. There we go. That's cool. I assume the back is made in 10 minutes. Fair. The back is a bit rough, clearly. That's but the front is fine, I think. Yeah, the back is not done. Okay. I like it. That's good. That is nice. The noise painter is a bit rough with all the dark spots, but we'll see how to make that better. Alright. Am I missing anyone that I haven't checked? Just finished? Oh, yeah. Go there. Eru in. And then we'll move on to the last. It's not great, but I had to rush. It's okay. It doesn't need to be finished. Again, you can finish it up later. Perfect it later. Okay. I see you are combining this with other rocks. Oh, you did quite a few rocks. Nice. Okay, that's very cool. I like it. I would make, again, I think the similar thing, which is happening to mine as well. Maybe the base terrain could be a bit bigger. Like just getting rid of, once you use the rocks, I will just maybe get rid of this and cut it and use more elevation to have it as a bit larger. But I think it works really well. I like the big rocks coming out. I think that looks really nice. Really, really nice. Some of them are a bit rough still, but again, it absolutely needs larger terrain. Yeah. But for what it is, it's nice. It works well. Okay. Hey Calvin, hi new, hello. Okay, let's go back home. Calvin 251. And because I think many of us, I think mine also needs a bit of a larger terrain. I'm gonna get rid of this and I'm gonna show you quickly what I mean. Why is loading here? There we go. That's a boxy issue. What we can do, if we have that issue, is to just select this whole thing cut it, move it up, and then just spend some time with elevation all around the rest of the plot to kind of bring that variation. That tends to be a nice thing, a nice quick thing that we can do. Of course, you can spend more time, but here I'm just doing something quickly. And then we paste it, we cut it, and bring it down so it kind of merges both of the things. And then of course we would need to like smooth some of the edges. Okay. So I think so far when it comes to shape and the tools, I think everybody's having a good understanding of it. And I don't know if there's any question about this part, about shaping, about any other technique for shaping. Now is the moment. If not, we'll move out to the last one, which some of you are already doing it, but I want to show you a couple ways of painting terrain, because I think that's like the key to make really anything look like a piece of terrain. So we can quickly show that, and then do a final round of feedback. Will painting include auto shading? We can show auto shading, yes. It's not gonna be the main thing, it's gonna be one of the things, but yes, I can show you how to auto shade. Okay, let me drink a bit of water as well. So I tried it and ended with a blob of weird on my solver. Yeah, okay, we can definitely do some auto shading there. Okay. Painting. Painting. I think when it comes to terrain, you can teach them this style. What style? When it comes to painting, I think there is one key tool mask that you've probably seen already, which is this one, the angle tool mask. The idea with this tool mask is to separate the areas where we have grass from the area where we have rocks, right? Normally, in most cases, unless you're going for something different, which is more specific, normally the vertical faces, you don't have any grass growing there. The grass will grow on the more flat areas. And a way to separate that quickly is using the tool mask, like this one. So in this case, because we have a base terrain of red wool and the rocks of cyan, we can set up the tool mask like this, where we have two conditions inside the AND, so both things need to be fulfilled at the same time, meaning the block needs to be cyan wool and the angle needs to be between these. Basically here what we are going to do, we are going to change the angle to 90 and the range to 45. And then with that, we are going to minimize it. And we are going to paint with, in this case, I like to choose lime wool. But that way we are going to be painting the surface where it's mostly flat of the cyan wool. And the same we can do for the red here. We change the block to red we can paint with grass all on top of this. Like that. And then here we have the option, we can either leave the red and the cyan separated, or we can both paint it with the same colors. It's depending on what you want. In this case, I'm gonna keep it separated, because I think it would be nice to try two different palettes. But this way, we very quickly separate the grass from the rocks. That is the first step. I would say this is a step that, at least to my eyes, is something that I always do for my terrains. I don't think I ever done any terrain where I don't do this separation. And this doesn't necessarily need to be grass. Like if we want to do something, for instance, more alien-y, this could be any type of vegetation. Can you explain axiom angles because I confuse the hair? Yeah. Axiom angles, it's confusing. The best tip that I have for this is really to just play around. You want to play around between these 0 and 45, 0 and 90 on the angle. 90 is going to give you the flat ones. With the 90 you're going to paint the flat areas, and with 0 you're going to paint the vertical areas. That's what you need to know. My recommendation, if it's confusing, try 90, paint. If it doesn't do what you do, try 0. And then the range, you wanna stay always below 45, because if you go beyond 45, because it's going to the both sides, you're going to be mixing both angles. So I think the general rule to do anything meaningful with the angle is that the range below 45, like 45 is the cap, and the angle either 0 or 90, depending what you want to do. And just play around. If you do an angle in between, then you need to start playing with the range to achieve a meaningful effect. So don't try that. I would say just do 0 and 90, learn those, and you really don't need anything else than that. So here for flat areas is 90, for vertical is 0. Once we have that, we don't need that tool mask anymore, and we got the separation, very nice. Then it's just a matter of painting. Here I'm gonna do something more alien, so I'm going to target the line wool. Normally you can paint this with grass, that's the most classic one to do. In this case, just to have fun, I'm going to paint this with warped nylium. And just to show you something different, we can use the noise painter. And here use different cyan blocks. I think the powder is really nice. We can do a mix of mostly this. And the cool thing to make a ground pattern look realistic is to increase the octaves, the lacunarity, and you can increase the gain if you want more noise, or reduce it if you want it to be more smooth. But I think in general something like that can work really nice. Increase the scale a little bit, so then we can paint the surface with cyan. And then for example, something that I forgot here is, again, we can use the tool mask here and target dirt and paint the dirt with lime, because we have this other surface that we did at the last minute. So we first color code it with lime, and we can do the grass as well. I have some areas here on the edges that are a bit rough, but let's see if we can blend them in as well. We do that, there we go, and here, there we go. And then yes, we go back, paint the line. And here I'm going to add a bit of warped this, just because I can. Or maybe, hang on, I want to try something different. What if instead of cyan at the base, we do something more oak, more yellowy? Normally, maybe you will decide on a color palette before doing all this, but I'm not gonna make this tutorial about painting fully. This is just to show you a couple basic things to make this look interesting. So that way we get the terrain separated between flat areas, base terrain, and the part that is growing on top of the rocks. And now yes comes maybe the more fun part. I don't think it's worth doing anything more complicated than this for the grass. Because normally the grass, you just paint it with grass or with a combination of grass and moss. So unless there's something very specific, or in a very specific case where you want something more artistic, where you're taking more crazy choices, maybe then it's worth it to use a more complicated technique or a more complicated set of tools for the grass. But in general, just noise painter and angle tool mask is the craziest that you need for that. Now, when it comes to the rocks, the other part that we're gonna see now, that's maybe where it's a bit better to hello to use more complicated tools, which is what we're gonna see now. So far, has anybody moved into painting, or are you guys still with the shaping? I've painted the grass. Okay. I'm working on painting. How do I do undersides? Ah, good question. Good question. If you want to do the underside, basically this part. How can you remove the biome boxes? Okay, that is faster. In the biome painter, here, turn off visualize biome. Right now I can check my shapes. Yes. Okay, we can do a short. I can check yours. So when you want to paint the underside, the tool mask is not going to work. For instance, here, no matter what you do, it's not going to do it. Even if you put 0 or 45. I mean, this one kind of does it, but it's painting the sides. Don't do that. What you want to do here is, instead of an angle mask, you want to use not can't see sky. This combination. And then probably do it a bit by hand with a smaller radius. Not on can't see sky. Yes. It's not gonna be the quickest because some blocks here you're gonna be painting, if not on the sides. But I would leave this painting of the underside for the end. Let me show you what I mean by that. Why is this painting? I feel like I'm ruining the UI and go back. Oh, like that. Okay. Before painting the underside, the order would be to use the 0.45 angle to paint the edges, maybe here 30. I will reduce the angle here. And now we are going to paint the sides of the rock. Let me choose, for this, let me choose purple. And with this mask, we paint the sides first of this. So that's where we're going to be painting the rocks. For simplicity, I'm gonna do the same for the red here. Here, if you wanna grab more, you can increase the range up to 45. But that is up to you. I think on the red, actually, yes, I want to grab all of it. Yeah, I had a mistake, but that's fine. So we got that. And once you painted the sides with the 0 angle, now yes, you do the not can see sky. And with this, if you did it this way, you don't really need to paint it, because already this underside is of a different color than the rest. But if you actually want to paint it, you can. For example, let's use orange, and that way you paint those areas that are missing. As I said, it's really not necessary, because we already painted everything else. So the underside is already color coded differently. But if you want, you can. Okay, so like that we have color coded everything. We color coded the top, separated from the sides, separated from the underside. Normally just separating the top from the sides works more than enough. Okay. So now we're gonna paint the rocks. Do I have you come over and look at this? Oh yes, wait, hang on. Let me take a look at you, and we take a look at Rixie. I'm trying the node and sky, and it's not painting. Okay. Are you trying? What you need here is like this, right? The and is here bigger. The block equal diamond, and the not can see sky. The can see sky goes inside the knot. And that should paint the area that you are missing. Do you have it set up like that? Miss that part? Okay. Yeah, if it's not working, it's probably something working differently. Or something mixed. Where is Rixie? Rixie's here. Okay. Oh, I see what you did. Nice. Is there an easy way, think Calvin? To on my part? It's okay. Tool masks are confusing. An easy way to mark out where my water should for a waterfall, or should I mark it by hand? There is an easy way. There is an easy way. I can show you that. Okay. I like it. I think it makes more sense. Damage my terrain with time tool. Nah. I like it, Rixie. Are you using the tool mask here to paint, or are you doing by hand? But in the most simple. Okay, fair. Yeah. There are some areas where I can kind of see the stroke of the brush, but that's fine. The angle mask kind of helps you avoid having that. But any in particular that you need assistance with? Ready in those places. Fair. Yeah. Yeah, that's always a good recommendation as well. If the angled mask... shape-wise, I think it's fine. What I would try to do maybe is, now that you have a bigger terrain, with time I would maybe make a couple more rocks smaller than this one and try to fill the area with a couple more rocks. Because it's like maybe a bit too smooth and then the big rocks. So maybe a couple similar rocks but smaller going around. That could work, or coming out of here on the base and like in diagonal. And maybe here I think it's kinda... No, that's fine. But yeah, I will try to add a bit more shape. Like on a scale in between, right? In between the smallness of this and the exaggeration of the spikes. Did somebody else ask something? Yes, the waterfall. If you wanna add a waterfall, there's an easy trick. I grab the blue wool. I like to use the path tool in flat mode and extend to ground. This option here. So then you can use this, for instance, to, well, this my terrain doesn't have an area where a waterfall would look nice. But let's suppose that a waterfall is coming, you have a river coming here. Then you just put the edge of the water floating in the air. And if you have extend to ground, when you hit enter, that's going to create the straight line where the water would be falling down. And it's really quickly and really easy to do. So I recommend it. Then you will need to change this to be water, right? And probably add a bit of lava on the side here, but it's a really good way to create those waterfalls. Well, here, messed it up. Actually, I kind of like it, so I'm gonna leave it. So path to float and extend to ground. Yes. The key extend to ground. I honestly would also turn the keep existing so that you don't break the pre-existing terrain. Here what doesn't make sense is why would there be water here? Like there's no river coming up to here, but you know, it doesn't need to make sense. Okay. Now the final bit of painting. Made waterfall carbon, but I did use weld instead of path tool and use fluid ball a bit after. Okay. Yeah. It's not the only technique, but I think this one is kind of like a bit fast to do. You just click a couple times and you get a waterfall. So we are going to target the purple. The easiest way to paint the rocks. You can look at mine real quick. Okay, yes, let's take that look. I'm getting sidetracked, but you know, I'd rather do this with a lot of feedback because that's why we're doing it this way. Okay. Oh, this improves so much. I like it now with a bigger terrain. I like that every time that I come here you have more plots. That's cool. Good way of painting the water. We can see that. Let me finish the painting and I can show you how to do that. That's cool. I like it. Probably noise painter, Nagi. This works really well with the bigger terrain now. I like it. And it has 3 layers, right? One that is way bigger and smooth, the rocks, and the grass. Home garden. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna go from simplest to hardest for the rocks. The most simple is to just use the noise painter. I'm gonna choose a palette here, something very classic. It's not gonna be anything crazy. We're gonna go from deep slate to tough and to a bit of andesite and perhaps a bit of blackstone at the end, just to, not really, let's use just couple deep slate and maybe mud. Mud is a really good block for this. So we choose a color palette. The most classic is doing a gray one. And what I would say is, to make the noise painter look a bit interesting, you can always turn on anisotropic and make either a vertical pattern by increasing the Y scale, so you get something like this. And when we paint, this creates a nice rock pattern. What do you think of something like this, TP? Okay, let me finish this and I'll go there. You can do that, or we can do a more flat by reducing the vertical and increasing the horizontals. That is like the easiest to make something interesting. Noise painter with an isotropic. Very easy, looks interesting. You can try different noise patterns here. In general, Metaball works nice, Simplex works nice, Whirly is a bit more noisy and laggy, but it works really nice as well. And then, okay, let me take a look at Q. And then we move on to the last. Oh, you're the one working on this. I really like the colors. That's very cool. Didn't know this was you. I like it. I like it, I like it. I would like to see you begin blending the colors. I don't know if it's all gonna have the same color or if you have a meaning to all the different color coding. But it would be really nice to have like a rainbow type of thing. It's good. It's very good. Heavy on the shapes. What shape are you using for this? This is not a cylinder or a square. You are using a... What are you using? You look at my waterfall? Yes. Is this the octahedron maybe? I usually paint terrains with brushes. I paint them with shapes. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. It looks very, very unique. I like it. Go to maze. Okay, this waterfall is water. Okay, I think that works. Oh, you have the forest. Crazy. I like it, maze. Maybe here it's splashing too much. Like, what I would expect is the water... How to make the water smooth? Yeah, it's almost impossible. What I would do if you wanted to work a bit better, maybe go around here. Now that you know where you want your water to go, maybe use elevation with lower, and where you want your water to, the path of the water, like bring this area down. So the water is gonna be like limited to this, you know what I mean? Because right now it's at the same level of the grass and it looks kind of weird. You kind of want it to be on a type of canal of some sorts. So once you know your path, yeah, I would maybe before painting, maybe cut the water here and make your path, and like a river canal or something, and then do the water again. The waterfall technique isn't working the best for me, I don't think. We can take a look at that once we're done with the painting here. Okay. So the other way of painting is auto shade, which I think Nordic was asking about that one. Auto shade is easy, but it has its trick. So the first thing is to select the block that you are using for the rocks. In this case, purple wool. I'm just making a box selection there. I'm going to go to view, hide the selection, but it's still selected. I just hide it because I don't like the yellow there. And then we're gonna go to operation auto shade. And here we have options. The first option is to just hit Ctrl R and replace the purple wood with a base color, for instance diorite. And then we tick all the boxes, reduce the dithering a little bit. In general, those are my recommendations for the parameters here. Every box on, dithering to half. And if you're using the automatic palette, this white block, the diorite, is gonna be taken as the brightest block. So if we stand over here, we are the sun, and it's going to create a nice highlight in the direction that we were looking at, and shadows in the areas that are facing away from us. I'm gonna use it for the sun rotation. I don't know what you mean by that. So that's the easiest. It tends to give a nice result, but the result depends heavily on where you're standing and on the base color. In this case, I'm using diorite, but if I use something darker like andesite, the result would be darker, clearly, because now the brightest block is the andesite, and the darker block is gonna be darker. So there are a couple blocks that work well for automatic palette. Some other blocks don't work. If I use mangrove as my base highlight, well, this one works actually really nice. Like from east to west, anti-air is going to be more intense versus south to north. Not sure if I'm following. Auto is better with dithering off. In general, yeah, in general dithering off is a good way. I actually like a little bit of it, but yeah. In general, dithering makes it work weird. It depends on the thing that you have, but dithering off is a good one. That is more specific Nordic. I don't know. When it gets more specific like that, you might need to do it by hand. Like maybe start with a regular auto shade and then change those areas by hand. We go back to the purple. Yeah, I would say auto shade is a lot of trial and error. You can always try a couple times, see if you get what you want. If you don't, you just undo and try again from the different positions with different blocks, different parameters. That's the fun of it working so quickly. And the other way that I like, this is my favorite way of doing the auto shade, is using a custom palette where we mix different wool types, going from black to light gray to white, something like this, where we can reduce, normally I will reduce the highlights and increase the shadows, because they tend to be, the highlights tend to be a bit stronger. So then when we auto shade, we end up with the very strong highlights on the edges and the very strong shadows, so we can see what we have. And the cool thing here is we can use this with the painter tool and the smallest radius possible, and we can then change and add the highlights by hand. If we want to give some manual texture to the rocks, we can always do that by using this. Let's say I want a highlight there on the peak. Anything that you want more specific, this is a good stage and a good method to do that. But in general, I would say the auto shade is a good start. And here, for instance, if this is too dark, we can always add some highlights. Yeah, I'm following the shape of the rocks, right? But I find it super easy to visualize when we have the black, gray, light gray, and white. It's not letting me auto shade. The problem is the step. Did you select it? You need to select first what you wanna auto shade. And then, if you're doing this, use the custom palette. There we go, nice. Okay, so once we have this, it's a matter of painting each one. What I do here, I tend to just place the rock palette, the rocks palette into the ground. I kinda like the red one. I think it goes nice, so we can use that. It goes from red nether brick to netherrack, red terracotta, mangrove like this maybe. Yeah, I can use a simple palette like this. I'm gonna make it super complicated. But the idea is to have each color of wool associated with a little bit of this, so we can have the highlights a bit more, probably actually these two blocks, and then we combine the noise painter with this. So let's target the white, and in the noise painter, if we like this, I kind of like it a bit more like that maybe. We can use pink terracotta here. It's getting laggy because of the noise painter, so I'm gonna use another one. It's metable. There we go. And red terracotta. We can use these two and paint the white. We do that. I've shown this technique many times in many videos, but I think it still stands as probably, surely it's my favorite. I don't know if it's the best. There might be others. Then we go to the light gray, and we paint with the other blocks of the palette. So you begin getting those shadows and highlights on whatever color palette that you want. Then we go to the gray. The gray is using mangrove and nether wart. It's actually creating like some sort of highlights, but it's fine. And finally we paint the black wool with the final one, which was netherrack and red nether bricks, like so. Yeah, see, once you're done with that, can you check mine? Will I go soon? Yes, it's okay. And that's it for the painting. I would say those are like a couple techniques. Now we will see how to do that. But let's check Rixie. Okay. I see more rocks. Nice. Yeah, this works so much better, Rixie. I like it. That's good. It's like a snowy terrain. It's very nice. I like it. It looks more like a complete scene now with the colors and the spikes. Okay, thank you. So you have a good one, Rixie. Thanks for hopping up. Let's go back home. Back to our plots. We have the waterfalls. I was not intending to do this, but let's do that. If the blue wool of the waterfall, the easiest is to just paint it with water. Of course, if this is survival, then the water is not going to stand still. But my quick recommendation, if that's the case, is always using like a type of glass waterfall. Here I'm going to do it with stained glass paint. I think the glass paint tends to work really nice. And I like my waterfalls. If I'm using glass, I like them to be kind of on the white grayish tones. We can add maybe a little bit of light blue, but not a lot. So we add glass paints. And the key here, I think, is to make it very vertical. So the noise pattern looks like something like this. And, well, if we paint right away, you can see it's very empty. So what you want to do is right-click on this. And on each one of these, do random on the orientations. So they have more of a random touch. So that gives you very quickly a nice waterfall shape. Normally also, well, something that you can add here, I forgot. This is exposing the purple wool from underneath. Cobwebs, if you can use them, and air in between some of these can also be really nice. So you can do that. It's not gonna be the best. You will need to add a bit more care to this. Probably I wouldn't do a lot of white here. And then I would add them by hand, because what you want is a bit of cobwebs and white here towards where the water is starting to fall. And where it falls down, right? And the purple, let's paint it with netherrack because we have it there poking out. We don't like that. This is kind of how I would do it. It's not the easiest. Or the other option is to just use water and surround the water with glass so that it doesn't flow down. But this kind of gives a nice effect for something that is not going to be survival. But I think that's it. for what I wanted to show about this terraforming. Of course, we will need to add grass and all the foliage and that, but I think that's gonna be a bit too much for today. It's been quite a bit. But let's do one last round of going around giving feedback if anybody wants. And questions in general. It can be about this or something else. And we'll wrap the class for today. I don't know for how long we've been going. It's probably been a bit more than 2 hours and a half. That's nice. Nagi, please. Okay. Vendo lechuga. Yes. So Nagi, then King Dummy, and then Nordic. Okay. Actually ended with structures. I'm becoming terraforming now. Nice. Nice, Mega. Love that. Oh, this is crazy, Nagi. Oh, and you choose yellow. It's my weakness. Yellow grass is my weakness. I love this. And the tree. Okay. Oh, we can do a tree tutorial someday. That would be nice. Very Elden Ring. No, I know it's not done, but I can see the vision. I like it. I like it. I had to try my best to not do a yellow grass, but I thought about it. I was like, no, let's do something different. Let's do cyan, not grass, not yellow. But this is nice. I would add wheat. I think wheat would be really nice here. Full grown wheat. Yes, yes, yes. Love it. I love a class on various types of trees. That could be a nice class, yeah. We can definitely do that. And I'm definitely more happy with this approach of having you guys take part on it a bit more. And a scale of 10. No, I'm not gonna judge. It's not a competition. Not doing that. Not doing that, but it's really good. I like it. I need to see it finished as well, so it's not finished. I don't judge it if it's not finished. No, but really good show. I like it. Who was after King? CPA to King. Calvin MC rose the plots. Okay, you went for cyan. I love that everybody added foliage and trees. That's cool. That is cool. And combine it with yellow. Again, my weakness. Love it. Very good. Very good, King. I like it. I really like the white tree though. The white trees are nice. I only done one white tree in my life. I need to do them more often. Very survival friendly as well. Love that. Right, the yellow and white works really well with the blue. Yep. Imagine playing survival, right? Very nice. Very nice, very nice. Nordic. Let's go to Nordic. Very cool terrain, guys. I love them. I like them. Okay, let's wait for this to load. Okay, we have some volcanic areas. This bit here. Okay. Okay, that works really well. I like it. Something that I can recommend is this is a volcanic area for you, right, Nordic? Using the draft screens. Yeah. Something that is really nice. This is something more to do by hand. I'm gonna go to my home to show you. But I think something that works really well with that is if you use this lava, magma, blackstone, basalt. This gradient tends to work really well. So you have, like, for instance, a magma pool. Around it you have magma blocks. Around it blackstone. And then you transition to the smoother basalt and the other gray blocks that you have. This tends to work really nice when you have like a magmatic area. Have small patches of that. But, you know, just a recommendation for you. Can you look at mine? Yes, Becrilo. But no, very good. I like it. I can see the techniques being applied. I add those last usually. Okay, fair. Yeah. That's more something by hand. But I saw here that you were doing something like that, so I'm like, ooh, this would be the perfect biome for that. The reason the Litematica doesn't like fluids, true. Oh, don't. By the end, after I'm done reviewing, let me show you the way to grab the schematic. Remind me if I forget. Ooh. I got disconnected from the Discord. Hi. Am I back? Mm-mm. I don't know if I'm here. Oh, there we go. I don't know, my Discord crashed. No, I'm back. Can you look at mine? Yes, we can go. Adam, did you record this or just the moment? I want to replay it. Yes. This is going to be the VOD on on YouTube and on Twitch as well. The VOD is gonna stay. Okay, let me go to Becrilo. Am I back? Can you guys hear me? I think it feels as I'm back, but I don't know if. We are back. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why my Discord decided to be like, nope, goodbye. Not doing this anymore. Hello. Okay, I like the grass. Back and Wolfie barks. Nice. Okay, I like it, Becrilo. I like it. I like the pattern that you chose. It kind of looks like rocks engraved on the terrain. I'll go there in a second, Travis. This is good. I will maybe add some trees here on the back. I don't know if you... these were probably trees, right? But I tried. I think, yeah, here will be a problem of scale, because it looks so grand without trees that maybe if you add trees and they are too large, it's going to ruin the scale. So maybe leave it like this. I like it. Beautiful. Perfect. There you go. There's a flower there. I don't know why they put flower there, but that's amazing. Who's there? Love the tree, by the way. That's king. That's a beautiful flower. Beautiful. Looking forward for the schematic. Okay. Let me go to Travis. Mushroom. Okay. The painting is coming together. I see you're using the technique. Nice gradient. Maybe I wouldn't use this basalt here. I think this one's kind of clashing. Maybe some regular deep slate instead. Maybe. I don't know. It can look... It's not a big difference. It's just... it has too much texture, I think. I like that. That's smoother. I was probably going it wrong. The waterfall thing wasn't working out. What you mean? Did we right? It seems like a waterfall. I don't know. It's not hanging up. It is. You did it right, yeah. Because it's extending here, so it probably worked. But yeah, I don't know. It's just going to fall down straight down. You can maybe do another path if you wanted to come out further, like do a smaller one that extends maybe a couple blocks to here. Oh, I have perms. Love that. If you wanted to like extend a bit further, maybe do like that. And have it maybe a bit smaller. So it's not so like a square. But yeah, kind of works. I'm gonna do it. You can do it. No, but it's good. It reads as a waterfall. Then you need to add all the details to make it look like water. But the terrain is looking really nice. I like it. I like the scale of it. With the trees and everything. I see everybody loves yellow trees. Everybody's been doing yellow trees. And I cannot blame you. They are really good. Thank you. No problem. Anybody else? Not sharing screen. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry for that. This is the one from Travis. Could you come give me any advice for what I've done so far? Yes. Erutien. Hello, have fun everyone. Bye Hester. Have a good one. Okay. Oh, you're adding more. You're extending. I like it. Looking more complete now. Yeah, this is good. This is very good. I like it. You are cooking here. You both are cooking. Both plots here. Very good. Very, very nice. Any advice? I don't know. I think there's a general rule. If you're making it larger and larger, I would expect to add more details. Thanks for the lesson, Calvin. No worries, Mace. Thanks for hanging out. I will maybe like try to find a spot to add a river, like make some area a bit different. Because when you start going larger and larger, if everything looks like the same, then it begins to look boring, no matter the color that you choose and such. So maybe, I don't know, some waterfalls or something in here so it's not so repetitive. But also, if I feel like there's a balance there. If you make it super repetitive all around, then it also begins to look interesting because it's like crazy all around. But very nice. I like it. And this one from new, this is really nice. I love the colors already. It's gonna look like a very crazy terrain. Share screen again. Sorry, Travis. Yes. It's gonna be a ball. It's gonna be a ball. Yes. Sitting notes. If yes, can I have them? I came in late. How much did I miss? We're about to end. This is. You both look really good. I mean, yours is missing the colors clearly, but the shapes are really nice as well. I like both. But yeah, we are finishing. Is anybody else or any other question that I missed? Any plot that I didn't check? Can you really quick come and look at? Yes, I'm gonna go because I also wasn't sharing screen when I saw yours. The schematic thing? Oh yes, the schematic thing. What? There's a structure all of a sudden here. That's crazy. Showing off, I see. I like it though. That's a very cool structure. And you added water. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's clean. That is clean. I the build on my survival. Okay. Okay. Amazing. I like it. Amazing. Oh, ooh, look at this for spikes. Stealing this. Stealing this idea. Love that. I didn't realize from far away what they were. Very nice. Very cool looking build. Can you check Twitch chat? Yes. Let me open that. Is there anything? What's wrong there? I'm using Noise Painter with the toolmask. The blocks I place show us like the PV hologram, but disappear when I hit enter. Do you have maybe a selection? Maybe you have a selection active. That's why it's not working. No taking, not stealing, yeah. Could it be that you have a selection? My big question for you, Calvin, is when are you doing another class? I don't know. Probably we can do one about trees. I think that could be nice. But I don't know when. I don't have any plans. Let me go to fishy. Silverfish. Let's see if we can figure this out. No active selections. Wow, this is crazy. Oh, this changed so much. Only thing is, it's gonna make my computer shell, but there's no, yeah. So the toolmask that you would need here to paint grass on top of this is the following one, right? And toolmask, block equal air, below, well, in this case you have moss. You would need this toolmask. And block air below moss. So with that, if you paint, it should paint on top. Is that what you're using? Yeah, it's a mess. I like it. It's a mess with some sense. That's what happens for me. Maybe did Hester log off? Maybe you don't have perms while he's out. It could be a plot issue, Fishy. Because if the plot is from Hester and he logged off, maybe you don't. Yeah, I think you don't have perms anymore. Because I think there's a way to trust you so that you can build anytime, and there's another way where you can trust them while you are there. That explains it, yeah. Okay, let's continue. I'm gonna go by Cinder. Keep me updated on the bot, please. Yeah, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be on my YouTube channel. Let me show you the schematic thing for Nordic. So you have your build. Make sure to select everything with the box selection. Like this. All of it wants to teleport to you. Yeah, come here. Let me click this. You select all your terrain Nordic. You need to copy it with Ctrl C. You should see it here on the top right corner. And then you can go to File, Export Schematic. So you do that. Here you choose a name. And you save it on your device by clicking Save. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So you select, you copy, and then File, Export Schematic. And I think that schematic is going to work if you use it as a Litematica file. In my computer shell, yeah, that's fine. You weren't sharing screen on mine too? Okay, let me go to yours, Bekrilo. TP Bekrilo. That's not TP. Oh, I tried to TP to myself. Calvin, can you come see my terrain? Yes, bet. This was Bekrilo's one. Oh, we didn't see the tree. Oh, the tree is still here. Love that. Tree anti-rain. Amazing, Bekrilo. Love this. So good. I feel, you know, the only thing that will make this better is if you add a sign here that says tree. So there's no doubt that there's a tree there. That's the only note. Tree. Perfect. Perfect. Tree, maybe small, but tree. Amazing. Now, but the terrain looks really nice. I like it. Looks really nice. Let me go to bed. Thank you. Yeah, what noise pattern did you use, Bekrilo? For those rocks? Oh, okay. Oh, this looks fancy. Oh, this is beautiful. I like it. Like it's more like a scene. Do you have any tips? Maybe the tree or the backdrop? Yes. So right now, I think this could benefit a lot from maybe composing this a bit better in terms of scales. Like the rocks look really small right next to the trees. Maybe I try, without changing too much, maybe I try to keep the large trees, these ones, further away from the rocks, like maybe putting them up front and have the smaller ones on the back so that they don't look, because either the rocks are looking very small, the terrain is looking very small, or the trees are looking very giant. So you can easy fix, move them around, not so easier fix, make the terrain way taller. But I think the scale between the trees and the house is very good, so I wouldn't change that. But other than that, I think it has its charm. I like it. Yep, no problem. Boro noise says yes, that's a noise pattern. Okay, nice. Alright guys, anybody else that I missed? Last chance. If not, we close up the stage. And we'll see you next time, I guess, which I don't know when that's gonna be. But again, thank you for coming to the class. Hope you found something useful. I think this was more dynamic. Can I say that schematic by Mathematical World Edit or Axiom? Yes. I know it works for World Edit for sure. I'm not 100% certain that it works for Litematica, but I think it does. It might be worth trying. Alright. And thank you again for the people from Builders Refuge for letting me do this here on their server and on their Discord server. And take care, everyone. I'll continue the live stream on Twitch for a little bit, and we're going to wrap the stream over on YouTube. And again, the bot will still stay there for anyone that wants to check it out. And yep. Guys, thank you, Calvin. Bye, Travis. Bye, Bekrilo. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Let me mute myself first. And how do I finish the stage? Yep. Okay, so now I'm reading chat. Bye, Diagonal. Hi, Diagonal. That was fun. I mean, thank you, Fishy. Thank you, Shaya. Alright. Sorry that I ignored the whole chat, but there was no way for me to 4 chats open, 5 chats open, and keep my sanity intact. Hi X, welcome in. Thank you everyone for the follows, by the way. But yes, I'm going to end the stream on YouTube, so the VOD ends here for those that want to watch. Same thing goes for YouTube. Sorry that I didn't read chat. Oh, there were a lot of things. By the way, we had the pin message, so 2-3 hours. That's nice.